Good morning. I am really pleased to be on here today, and I am feeling pretty darn good. Um, thank God for that. And of course, as soon as I say that, there's this part of me that's like, I did it. Because, like there are challenging times when I have to actually step up and experience the discomfort. But I know that, like, in general, the overwhelming desire to overeat and just the really extreme thinking and behaviors that lead to me wanting to overeat, they've been lifted for now, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So I just want to keep doing the things that help facilitate that. I think I've talked about this before, but just to sort of clarify, like for me, what I found to be really helpful is kind of a lot. My mornings are pretty intense. I think for some people, to me, it's like, I don't know, it's like 2 hours of just joy. But I normally get up and I actually start my day by reading fiction that I enjoy reading, and I only read for about 10 minutes, but I find that I wake up and I'm usually not in the greatest mood, and my body feels kind of sore and icky, and like last night I had really weird nightmares, and so I kind of feel just not so great in my head and my heart and my body. And so fiction, for some reason, just kind of helps excite my imagination a little bit and gets me into just a different narrative for a few minutes, and so I enjoy that. I used to start by reading program literature or daily devotionals or things like that, and for whatever reason, they've kind of run their course for me at this point. So I do that, and then I have 2 cats, and I've found that developing closer connections with my animals with really intentional time has been really, really healing for them and me, and I think others too. And so I spend about 10 minutes playing with them really intentionally. And then I do a little bit of yoga to open up my body, maybe between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how much time I have. And then I meditate for 20 minutes. And then I do these. And then I do a little bit of reflecting writing and sometimes fiction writing and sometimes journaling, kind of whatever feels appropriate. And then I start my day. So it's a lot, but that's all extremely helpful for me. And then throughout the day, I will read some literature. I usually try to do at least one tiny exercise that's step related for program. And it's just something to keep me grounded. And it doesn't have to be anything overwhelming. I used to think I had to do a ton of work in that regard, and maybe early on I did, but I find that right now, kind of like going through the book one paragraph each day, it's very similar, where I really think that like tiny incremental exposure very slowly but surely builds up into this really amazing battalion of I guess resistance to or efforts in the, I don't know, basically making it so that it's easier to do the work and to live life with more joy. Gosh, I'm getting all heady in this. And definitely being social in some capacity has become kind of a line item for me in my checklist of things to do, which really, for me, that has to be like actual human contact. So like either verbally over the phone, like I need to hear a voice and have to talk and put my thoughts together, or in person is ideal, and humor is huge. So like finding stand-up comedians that I like, or podcasts that are kind of funnier in nature, reading children's literature that's goofy, anything like that is really helpful. And then I guess that would be like one of the main other things is connecting with my inner child literally at the beginning of the day. Like after this, when I sit down to write, I just connect right immediately, I do an exercise between my left and right hands. So the left hand is my non-dominant hand, and that is my direct link to my inner child. And so I will ask the child like how she's doing today, and then I'll respond with my left hand. And it's a really incredible exercise, and I'm sure that a lot of people think that sounds crazy, but it's very helpful and has led to a ton of growth in so many ways. So there's that. I guess I needed to share that. The way that I approach these is that I kind of sit down, and I actually was going to try to set up like a what am I going to talk about today list, and it just didn't work. I heard no, just go with the flow. So there's the flow. um, my day yesterday was pretty good. I had a lot of weird interactions with a couple of people from this dating site that I was on, and I actually decided already to cancel my account for the time being. I know that I am in like a precarious place in terms of getting into a relationship. I know that I want to be exploring this at like a super, super slow pace. But I also realized that for me, like I just feel really dishonest and disconnected to be connecting with multiple people at once. Like, I don't know if this is something that's more common for people who are recovering from, some behavior that's been problematic for them, from some addiction or whatever, or an eating disorder. But for me, my identity is something that's sort of always fluid and always can be a little bit weak at times, I guess. I can feel weak in it. And so it's really important for me to get to know people, just like one or two people at a time, kind of, especially in terms of like exploring possible like romance, because that's letting people in big time. And that's also just with a codependent background, there's a tendency to be like, oh, I forgot altogether who I am. So that's where I think a lot of the fear has been coming from, is just this terror that I am going to lose stride or not continue to do the work that I know I need to be doing in order to feel grounded. So yeah, I disconnected the account, and I may or may not still be in touch with one person. And otherwise, I just really felt a lot of relief at coming back to my life and realizing that I'm okay even if I don't connect with someone. In some ways, I kind of, hope I don't, but I know that that's not true, because I really do want to explore what it is to be in relationship with someone and be present for them, and have experiences together and grow and see what that turns into. So I think that is really all that's coming to mind for me right now. I did meet up with some friends at the beach yesterday, and I talked to them about my dad and kind of the stress that I was having earlier this week about whether or not I should go to a memorial service for my grandma. And it was really difficult to be that vulnerable with my friends, because I knew that I was exposing a very selfish, sort of naive, ignorant side of myself. Because, at 36 years old, you'd think that I would know that a memorial service is really about supporting the people who are closest to the person who passed away, and it's really not about me. And yet I totally made it about me and what I thought would be most beneficial from this dreamy vision standpoint, rather than remembering that first and foremost, community really is a priority. And family community is as crazy as my family is. I don't know who doesn't have a crazy family, but it's important for me to be there for that. And so I told my friends about this, and it was really interesting, because one of my friends said, well, what did your dad say? And my dad was like, well, I want you to do what you need to do for you. If you don't feel like it would be healthy for you to go, then don't. And, he was being really gentle with me, because my whole family is just worried they're going to upset me because I'm such an emotional person. Little do they know that I'm learning to be a lot more stable. Thank goodness for, letting go of the food and having my feelings and just working through them. But my friend asked me, he was like, do you think that maybe, you wanted your dad to say, Erin, I want you to be there for me? And it just struck me, and I was like, yeah, I guess part of me did want that and does want that. Um, I guess I've wanted that for a really long time, that some of the stuff that comes up for me when I have major moments of upheaval are totally related to wanting my daddy, and like really wanting to be saved and protected from the monsters that I kind of perceive to be around me sometimes, or that I remember from earlier in life. And um, that was really insightful. And so I guess I just wanted to share that these things come up, and they come up when I am willing to expose myself to my friend, to people I trust and love, um, and just to people in general. Again, remembering that like anywhere I go, I've got God with me, so I'm safe. And just sharing that vulnerability and sharing that openness actually led to insight, and I feel like I'm going to be able to go with such a different perspective. I felt like this weird forgiveness through my friends, even. And that was just really beautiful because, honestly, even if my dad said that I forgive you, or, I was disappointed, but it's okay, I don't know how well it would have really settled with me. So, yeah, 3 cheers for family and friends. Okay, I'm running sort of late, and this paragraph's kind of long. The good news is that no matter how sordid and miserable your story, how mild or severe your symptoms, we have been there. I have been there. We are confident you can recover because we were able to recover ourselves. Were you molested? Were you ridiculed and berated? Many of us were too. We felt as you felt. Perhaps you can find no clear and obvious reason why you developed an eating disorder, or the reasons seem trifling compared to the severity of your illness. Many of us fit that description too. Did you create needless pain and misery in your life and in the lives of those who cared about you? We certainly did. Yet despite the damage we caused, we found that even the most awful truths about ourselves and our lives could be turned to good purpose. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I feel like I kind of even touched on some of this just in my share, I mean, in terms of my history and how it affected um, my development of an eating disorder, and who knows why I did, and it's kind of beside the point, but I do think that our stories and telling our stories and sharing them with each other, that's where so much of the goodness is, both the joy and the healing and pain sometimes. So, but definitely, no matter what experience I've had, as I've shared with other people, I've discovered that they've had something similar, and it's just allowed for me to connect with them. And when I connect with people, I don't want to disconnect anymore. I don't want to numb out. So, so yeah, that's what I know. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and feel free to be in touch if you feel like it. Leave comments if you want to, or don't. That's fine too. I'm just so grateful to have this as an outlet and a resource, and I hope that maybe something about it has struck a chord with you, and maybe something's awakening. Who knows? All right. I'm sending you tons of love, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Bye.